Hey, wonderful sixth grade teachers. I am here just with a little helper video on how to best utilize ThinkUp Math in your classroom. And so what I'm going to start doing is the first thing is I really want to look just, is it aligned to the TEK? Like, let's just start there because that's how I want to select my questions. And the TEK I'm looking at is 6.2D, which is ordering a set of rational numbers arising from mathematical and real world contexts. So rational numbers, that could be negative, it could be positive, it could be percents, decimals, fractions, whole numbers, it's everything. So looking at that, and once again, ordering, of course, looking at what is here, it does look really good, it does look really aligned. I love that it's a mix of negative, positive, it's mixing everything. It's not focusing too much on one thing, which I love. And so the next thing I'm going to do from there is I want to find two similar questions. And I also want to look to see, are these questions aligned to how STAR is testing it? So just kind of looking here at some different options, I see, our little box with in this case, we have fractions and percents, and they're putting it in order from greatest to least. 2019, I see some negatives, almost all decimals, and we got our 0 in there. 2019, so this is last year, just straight up greatest to least, and we have a mix of fractions and decimals. In this case, no percents or no negatives, but they really and truly have thrown a little bit of everything in the past. So just kind of looking at how it's questioned to make sure that we are staying aligned with that as well. So in this case, I'm going to look at number 1 here, and then I'm going to start by basically modeling how to think through this. The one thing we do not want to do with ThinkUp Math, previously Motivation Math, is just say, okay, guys, I just taught you how to do this TEK, so I'm going to give you this worksheet, do page 41 and 42 for a grade, and just hand it to them and have them do it independently. No. This is way too high. The rigor is sometimes even harder than STAR. This is our opportunity to teach and model thinking through these types of questions. It should not just be used as a worksheet for a grade. I will show you how you can still get a grade from this in just a moment, but I just wanted to start with that. Please don't just give it as a worksheet. Now, I would do this question whole group with my class, really modeling through how to think through it and also the strategies behind it. So in this case, they're wanting us to order from greatest to least. Well, guys, let's look here. We've got it in many different forms. We have decimals, we have percents, we have fractions. Okay, y'all know that this is not going to work for comparing and for ordering. And so in this case, definitely going to decimal would make the most sense for ordering. So the first thing they need to do is this one's good, but we have to convert all 3 of these to a decimal. So here you go. And this is what it would look like if we convert it to decimal. Sorry, that's a line over it. It looks kind of funky. But so from there, then once they have converted, then I would literally have them lining them up. They could line them up right here in their paper to quickly look at the 10th place. And by looking at our 10th place, they should very easily, after lining up their decimals, be able to see which one's greater, which one's smaller, and order them quickly. Now, let's say you got a baby they can convert it, but then they're struggling literally just with ordering it from here. We have our designated supports, and yes, in 6th grade, we can still use them with these babies that need it. So for example, we have our 6/10ths here. I have our 7100ths next. I didn't have enough place value blocks. I'm sorry, I skipped the 0.8333 going on forever. They could just do it as 8300ths if needed, just to get the visual. And then we have our 5600ths. So if they're struggling and ordering them from least to greatest or greatest to least, they could still build them as well. So don't forget, some of those babies might still need that hands-on concrete, and yes, they can use that on STAR. Okay, so getting back to this question, I would do this whole group. We'd go through all of this. I'd show them how to line up their convert, line up the decimals, and I would then let them know this is what I expect on another question. So then I would be like, hey guys, what do you notice about question number 2? Wow, that looks really similar. Well, it's asking us to do least to greatest again, but man, we've got it in different, we've got fractions, we've got percents. What did we do? Go back and look at what we did. Sorry, it's sticking. On number 1, what did we discuss would be a good strategy for ordering our rational numbers? And so then they're like, oh, we converted them to decimals. So then at that point, I would tell them to look at the question we just did, apply those strategies, tell them you're looking for all the steps that you just did with them. I would walk around and monitor their progress. I would aggressively monitor, really looking to see which are struggling with what, okay? Are they struggling with changing a percent to a decimal? Are they struggling with going from a fraction to a decimal? Because these are 2 totally different strategies right here. So really looking and seeing, marking off who's struggling with what portion. Are they just struggling with, are they still just having issues? Hey, maybe they can convert, but they're having an issue ordering decimals. And that's when, if, you could pull those babies and work on them, lining them up and look in the place value. And maybe it's a baby that needs to build it and see it. So many different things that you can see from them doing this one problem while you're walking around monitoring, okay? We want to walk around and really see how they're doing with it. And then you can go back whole group and go over it afterwards. Or, if you wanted to take this for a grade, once again, we don't want to just assign a whole page or 2 pages. We want to assign just a couple problems, because really and truly, you're going to know if these students are getting it from just a couple problems. But we know you need grades. So let's talk about that. Literally, converting each one of these to a decimal should be a problem in itself. They're doing a lot of work to do that. Give them the credit that they deserve. So even let's say this baby is really good at converting percents to decimals, because they can relate that to 30 out of 100, 30 hundredths, so they can do that really easily. But perhaps they're really struggling with dividing to get a decimal with their fraction. Give them the credit. Let's really promote that growth mindset to where they will get credit for the work they're doing. They might not get the right answer, but at least they showed you that they've got an understanding, a part of this. Give them that credit. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4 questions, so 4 checks or X's. And then you could give them another check or X for getting the correct grade. You could even tell them your expectation is for them to line them up. That could be a check or X right there as well. But set those expectations of how you're going to grade it so that they'll know. If they don't know these expectations, then we can't expect them just to do all these strategies. And once again, this is going to be a good way to get them to do these strategies as well. So that right there we said was at least 5, if not 6 questions. So really and truly, if you just did one more question like this, you could take a grade on this, and you're not sitting there wasting time, because we know trying to get them to finish these whole pages takes way too long. And a lot of you 6th grade teachers don't have that much time in your block to do that. 1, 2 questions, move on. You're going to know who to pull and who to respond to in that short amount of time. I promise you. Also, I just want to look at a couple different things here for you to utilize. There is the vocabulary mastery. This would be great for like a menu, something for them to do independently. There's also the concept exploration here, and it really is great. Just make sure when possible for the concept exploration that you're giving them manipulatives, you're giving, maybe it might be an open number line for this one. There's so many different things you could do with this, but making sure it's still hands-on as much as possible. And I know in 6th grade math, at times that can be a little tough, but really, truly trying to bust out those manipulatives whenever possible. And also remember, we do have our manipulative list for you. On the website, if you go under 6th grade, there is, I'm under 6th grade right now, and there's the TEAC manipulative list. So if you're struggling with what manipulative to use for what TEAC, it's there. And if you're like, hey, I have no idea how to use this manipulative for this TEAC, reach out to Jillian or myself. Start with your campus coach, but if they aren't sure, then you can reach out to Jillian and I, and we would love to help you with that. It's a great resource. Also, looking at other things that are available, motivation stations are awesome. Typically, they're very little prep. This one is 0 prep. Oh, how I love that one. Literally, it's a connect the dots, and they're going in order from least to greatest. How cool is that? Very little prep, fun little activity. Once again, they have to stop and determine, what am I going to even convert all of these to be able to order them. So this would actually take them quite a while to do. That's nice. And they can work on this in groups in a station and have some fun with that. Have some really good conversations as well. So there's that. Also, please, let's talk about homework real quick. Giving this as homework is really tough, guys. If they're struggling with this in class, can you imagine being home on their own? How much they're going to struggle with it? Or the opposite will happen and mom and dad will just do it for them. So we want to try and level the playing field when it comes to homework. The rigor of this is just too high and we would not suggest it. Now, if you're assigned one of those for a grade and maybe they didn't finish it or something, yeah, sure, send that home for homework. But really and truly, we just want to try and steer away from this. Dreambox is great. It differentiates. They get the help and tutoring online that they need. So if their parents aren't able to help, if there's nobody around to help, the students can still move forward and make growth and fill those holes if they need them to be filled. Also, don't forget our handy dandy teacher edition. Look at my nails sparkling. Woo! Sorry guys. Yeah, I'm a mess. We have our handy dandy teacher edition that has great formative assessments, great interventions and activities. Don't forget to look through this and utilize this as well. I hope this is helpful and useful in how you can utilize this and get the biggest bang for your buck and not take up too much time, teach the rigor we need to, but really building them up and not tearing them down by just throwing them this worksheet that they have no idea how to even start thinking through these problems. It's our job to help them think through it. So I hope you guys have a great rest of the day, and yay for Think Up Math. It's here. You get a copy.